Welcome back to Women's Wealth, The Middle Way, the show that answers your questions about work, money, and family. My name is Susan McGlory Michael, and I am the CEO and founder of Glen, a wealth management firm in New Jersey.
My name is Carol Ann Fernandez, and I'm the COO of Glen. We're really excited today to have our guest, Megan Eddings, join us. She started a company that was inspired by the odor trapped in her husband's workout clothes, and she invented Prima antibacterial fabric. And then in 2016, she founded Excel Lifestyle, a fitness apparel brand. Welcome, Megan.
Hello, Carolyn. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, we're excited to have you. Maybe we could start with just you telling our listeners a little bit about how you came up with this idea to invent antibacterial material.
Yeah, I wasn't like a child and be like, when I grow up, I'm going to invent fabric. That actually never crossed my mind. I say that entrepreneurship found me. My background is in chemistry and biochemistry, and I also love fitness. And basically, I met my husband 10 years ago, actually 11 years ago this year, on a blind date, and he was doing CrossFit back when CrossFit was like the jam. I know it still is, but really early in the morning. And I always work out after work. And so to the day he showers, I'm not even exaggerating, like 2-3 times a day. He showers all the time. It's like this, I don't know, thing. But his workout clothes stunk. And so I have brothers growing up playing sports. Everyone knows that smell of like a polyester shirt that you work out in, that even though you walk, like that smell comes back. And so at the time I was selling medical equipment to hospitals, like MRI machines and all like that big X-ray stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, just something as simple as, I'm over here selling MRI machines for like $2-3 million, like it's no big deal. And we don't have workout clothes that don't stink. And that was the beginning. I actually called like a local washing and dryer repairman to maybe like my washing machine was broken. I didn't know. So when he came back, it's like, no, it's working. And the clothes were still smelling. I'm like, okay, I got to figure something out.
That's awesome. Obviously, that jump from the corporate world selling medical equipment to now starting your own company is not a small decision to make. I guess what gave you the confidence to make that transition?
Yes, I was working on developing the fabric, and really like anything, just you have to do a lot of research. Just because I'm background in science, I wanted to know from a scientific standpoint, why do our clothes smell? I was working on that for about 8 months before leaving corporate America to start my own company. And I'll say really it was, besides the idea, but it was 2 really big things that gave me the confidence to start it. One of them was my husband, which is funny. I mean, his stinky workout clothes is basically the reason the company even started, but he saw me working.
I'm sure he appreciates everyone knowing that too.
Oh, let me tell you, we're a few years in now to the story. He's heard it many times, but when I would do business pitch, like even like national competitions, I'm like, it all started from my husband's stinky workout clothes. He like cowers in the back row. But his support, and then also, I say a lot about everyone experiences tragedy in their life, and it's important to like, what do you do with that? And so my dad actually passed away 10 years ago of a massive heart attack. And it was not expected at all. And I remember that after giving his eulogy a couple weeks later, I was 31 years old. I just knew that there had to be more in life. And so the confidence was, I'm like, you know what, we're all going to meet our maker someday. And so let's just go for it. So that mixed with my husband's support and the desire and the knowledge that I knew I could do it. I didn't know how. I just went for it.
Wow, that we actually have very similar stories. So my dad also passed away when I was 31. He was 62, very young, unexpected from an aneurysm.
I'm sorry,
sometime
Carolyn.
After this podcast, we'll have to commiserate about that.
Yeah, we're part of, I say, a certain group and tribe. You wouldn't wish it on anybody, but when you find the people in that group, it's like you just form an immediate bond.
Yeah, but back to the more exciting, upbeat things. So I guess you obviously have a very unique business and area that I don't think most of our listeners are involved in. What's the most rewarding part of your job, would you say, and what's the most challenging?
So I just came from a meeting at a local, so down here in Texas, I live in Houston, Texas, but I'm from Rhode Island, so I have this like weird accent, but I just left a high school here in the Houston area, and it's something you'd see on the movies, these huge stadiums, just like almost like college, bigger than some colleges, and I'm talking to the athletic director, and he asked me the same question. He's like, wow, it's like becoming an entrepreneur. What's your favorite part? I said, hands down, no questions asked, the people that I've met along this journey. if I didn't take that risk and become an entrepreneur, and really a risk is anything. It doesn't have to be quitting your job, or it could be applying for a promotion or trying a new workout class or a baking class. But if I didn't do something outside of my comfort zone, I never would have had the blessings of all these incredible people that I've been meeting along the way.
What would you say is the not so fun?
Well, every day there's definitely some challenges. I would say the biggest challenge for me, and this is consistent, this is literally consistent, is as an entrepreneur and really no background in business, I always am thinking with only so many hours in the day, and am I doing and am I directing my team to do the things each day that are the most beneficial for the business? And there's no magic wand or glass ball or whatever it's called, crystal ball, to know that what we're doing today is the best business decision for the future. But that's the most challenging because there are so many opportunities. We've been really fortunate that people are finding out even internationally about my fabric and reaching out and wanting to collaborate and form joint ventures with other countries. And I just think to myself, man, is this what we should be spending our time on? And so I just, every day I'm like, well, this is what my gut is telling me today. So let's just go for it. But the challenging part is, are we always working on the stuff that is best for the business?
Yeah, I think that's always challenging for any business owner. Have you seen a big shift in the fitness area, with COVID and everything, in the workout fitness, I guess, industry? Has it changed a lot since you started?
Girl, let me tell you something. So I started Excel Lifestyle with our Prima antibacterial fabric in August of 2016 is when I formed the LLC. We didn't launch the company until August of 2019. It took about 3 years for me to invent the fabric. And because I love science, I was describing the fabric. I'm like antibacterial and saying all these like silly science words that I knew what they meant, but they weren't really drawing in the consumer. Yeah. All of a sudden COVID happens, and the influx and people's, I guess, taking care of, or people have a heightened awareness to hygiene. So anything that says like odor resistant, antibacterial, self-cleaning is definitely a more widely accepted term now than it was before the pandemic, and it's funny, a little sidebar. So the TV, like Netflix and Prime and all that stuff, there's one called Peacock. And so I love the old fashioned show, like King of Queens. And I am blown away over the past month of how many commercials are playing of clothing detergent, and their thing is like odor reducing, odor removing. So people are definitely talking about and purchasing more things that are along the lines of hygiene. Now, as with someone that worked up this morning at 6 a.m., not everybody is wearing anti-stink clothes yet. However, everything takes time. It's all about patience.
Yeah, that's so interesting, though. I mean, it makes sense. I guess I just never thought about it, but that is really interesting. We always like to finish out our podcast by asking all of our listeners the last question, which is, what advice would you give to someone who maybe has an idea or is thinking of becoming an entrepreneur or starting their own company like you did?
I love this question because it's such a simple question. I have such a simple answer, but it took me years to figure out. You just have to start. And so whether that's becoming an entrepreneur or, again, like applying for the promotion or taking a new workout clothes, the hardest part is always the first step, putting on the sneakers and tying them up. And we're so conditioned to have fear that, oh, we can't do it, or all this negative self-talk. Hardest part is just taking that first step. And so I just say the first step is the biggest step. And then we live in a culture now, which I think is wonderful, that so many people realized during COVID that maybe they want to start their own company or do something different. So there's all these communities that are out there, both online and in person, of people that, you can surround yourself with that kind of help you take that first step, the second step, and then the third step.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and you're so right in that there's so many communities now and people that will help you. It's just the hard part of making the jump and getting there. But
yeah,
Megan,
even your podcast. Yep, sorry. Oh, sorry, Carolyn. Yeah, no, because your podcast
you're good.
is one of those. It's like a perfect tool for entrepreneurs and people just to listen to not only be inspired to learn new information, but have the confidence to take that first step. So thank you for having your podcast.
Oh, well, thanks for being on it. Yeah, we're very excited that you joined us today, and I'm sure a number of our listeners will be looking up your clothing line, hopefully inspired to work out as well, which is always a bonus. So thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Kelly, and have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Women's Wealth, The Middle Way. Make sure to subscribe to us and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcast app. Join us for new episodes every other Wednesday. See you in 2 weeks.